Well, you know, I think God and Moses both just have enormous respect for each other.
White gladiator has that same right spirit.
Look, the judges are gone. Even the Egyptian judge is impressed.
Until recently, you claimed that the earth revolved around the sun.
Welcome to History Bites. I'm Rick Green. Whether it's in an action movie or the boxing ring, a fight between two men is seen as interesting, dramatic, and exciting. But a brawl between two women is considered cheap and tawdry. Well, in the 16th century, the British Isles experienced a very public fight between two women, and not just ordinary women, two queens. It was all very embarrassing. The Queen of England was Elizabeth, the only surviving child of Henry VIII, the guy with the 6 wives. She had a battle royale with Mary, Queen of Scots, who also had her sights set on the throne of England. These Renaissance regents were involved in plots and counterplots, intrigue and diplomacy, threats and violence. And yet, Liz and Mary never actually met in person. If only television had been around in the 16th century, these two quarreling queens could have come face to face, aired their grievances, and hurled chairs at each other on a trashy talk show.
Jerome Springer Show doth well contain yon adult themes and language most profane. If parent beest thou, prithee be discreet. Our matter for thy children is not meet.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the master of the revels, Jerome Springer!
Hey, welcome to the show! You know, it's always tough when families are torn apart because two people want the same thing and only one of them can have it. Well, today on our show, our guests include two people who both want the throne of England. Yeah, please meet Mary. She's here to confront members of her own family for standing in her way. Mary. All right, Mary, what's going on here?
Well, Jerome, I think I've been silent way too long. I'm here today because I think I should be Queen of England.
So just let me get this straight then. You've already been Queen of Scotland and France.
That's right.
But you want to be Queen of England too?
Well, Jerome, what can I say? You know, some girls just like a good three-way, you know? That's right. Why the hell not? You know, I got what it takes, huh? So you point me to the throne, and I'll sit on it, all right? I will, because I'll rule all of you. I will. That's right. You know, I was Queen of Scotland when I was 1 week. All right, I was Queen of France when I was 17. I was regal before I was legal, all right? That's right. Now I want a triple crown. That's right.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Mary,
Yeah.
calm down. Look, there's just one problem. Last time I checked, we already had a Queen of England.
Well, I know that, Jerome. She's my cousin.
Oh, so you're saying Elizabeth is your cousin?
That's right. She's my first cousin, once removed.
Once removed. And you want to be the one who removes her?
No, that ain't true. No, that's so not true, Jerome. I don't want to cause any harm to my dear cousin Lizzie.
Mary, I don't understand. I mean, we can't have two queens. There's something else going on here, Mary.
Well, you know what? I just want her to do right by me, Jerome. I mean, Lizzie's father was Henry VIII, okay? So after her sister Mary and her brother Eddie died, that makes her the oldest surviving heir to the Tudor line, okay? So that gives her the right to be queen for now. But hell, I just want Lizzie to fess up that I'm next in line, all right? After all, I'm the granddaughter of Lizzie's Aunt Margaret by way of James No. 5 of the Stuart line, all right?
Somebody give me a family tree diagram? I'm so confused. All this noble inbreeding. Look. Okay, Lizzie, all you're saying is that you want your cousin to acknowledge your claim to the throne.
Yeah, because let's face it, you know, she ain't likely to give birth to no heirs if she's bragging that she's the virgin queen, all right?
Okay, but you won't actually become Queen of England until Elizabeth dies, isn't that right?
Well, queens have accidents, Jerome. Queens have accidents all the time.
Well, you can always count on family.
That aching all over, stuffy nose, itchy eyes feeling, then you need leeches. It's the all-natural cure that sucks sickness's symptoms away.
The Queen of Pop Music sings about the queens and kings of Europe. Remember?
I'm Protestant, but I'm Catholic. I'm English, but I'm Scottish. I'm loyal, but I'm rebellious, baby. What it all boils down to is everything's coming to a head. 'Cause I've got one queen in my palace, and the other one's Mary, Queen of Sky.
And you also get...
Thank you, royalty. Thank you, privilege. Thank you, divine royalty.
Some fabulous new imported items from the New World that will make your parties special. Among the most popular imports from the Americas are pineapples. Now, normally I eat apples with the peel on, but for the pineapple, I'd suggest peeling the peel. Other fabulous imports are vanilla, tobacco, and native people. A native Indian in your home makes a great conversation piece, but watch out. When they're transplanted to our climate, they tend not to last very long.
Jog your memory with this one.
King beheads 3 of his wives. His daughter never weds, of course. He marries 6 times, hoping for a boy. He starts a new church so he can divorce. And isn't it moronic? Don't you think? I recommend getting your head cut off to any wire. I certainly do.
You would never plot or scheme to murder anyone.
I would not. That's right, Jerome.
Well, I don't know, Mary. Our next guest has a different story. It's your 3rd husband, the Earl of Bothwell.
Bothwell? I ain't seen that worthless piece of haggis in 19 years.
Well, he's here backstage. Let's bring him out.
You little piece of You get the away from me, all right? I ain't got no corny love for you, all right?
Queen Elizabeth's family had been unlucky at love, so she stayed single. Mary, Queen of Scots, probably should have done the same. She was promised to Prince Francois of France when she was 3, and 14 years later, she married him. The waiting must have been kind of hard on Francois because he died 2 years later. Mary returned to Scotland, met Lord Darnley, and married for love. Then she fell out of love with him and in love with her advisor, so Lord Darnley had her advisor killed. Then Mary fell for the Earl of Bothwell, and things got really messy.
I lost everything I had for her.
Okay, but why are you calling your wife a murderer, Bothwell?
She I am here to just speak my mind because you know what?
No.
I killed her 2nd husband, Lord Darnley.
Come on.
And she helped me do it.
Oh, that is not true, Jerome. They never proved that, and you was found not guilty, and you know it.
You set up the trial,
Oh, come on, I did not.
She set up the
I did not.
trial.
You know what, Jerome? That's not true. Darnley's death was an accident, all right? It was one of them accidents where a whole lot of gunpowder sort of just blows up your house, right? And then just sends your husband's body into the garden, right?
Kayoka! Hey, Kayoka!
Mikachu, Phew, what is it?
There's trouble in London, Kayoka!
It's a giant robot man.
I summon the power of the virginal regent, Queen Elizabeth!
Remember how yesterday you arrested ye giant robot man for being drunk in public?
That's right. I sentenced him to the usual punishment under Queen Elizabeth, the drunkard's cloak. That's where the drunkard is forced to wear a barrel as a cloak. He wanders through town while the villagers laugh at him.
Yes, but I don't think they're laughing.
Sorry, stupid barrel. Oh, sorry.
Next time, put him in the stocks.
Right, the stocks.
The really big stocks.
This Darnley, he was some piece of work. You know what he done? You know what he done?
No.
He found out Mary here was having an affair. That's right, but so he had her lover killed right in front of her. Yeah. He was hoping that the shock would cause her to miscarry and die.
Whatever.
That's why she wanted him dead.
You don't know.
That's why you wanted him dead. You admit it.
That's what I call a Bloody Mary.
There's a surprise guest virgin queen waiting backstage. Find out who when we come back.
Cause I've got one queen in my palace and the other one's married.
Though Mary, Queen of Scots, and Elizabeth I ended up mortal enemies, they started out okay. In fact, when Mary was still ruler of Scotland, she and Liz even traded portraits. After all, they were cousins as well as queens. But when Mary's scandalous behavior forced her to seek refuge in England, she became a tiara in the side of Elizabeth. Now, if Elizabeth had inherited anything from her parents, it was a survival instinct. She was pretty shrewd about nipping any rivals in the bud. One's a monarchy, two's a crowd.
Hey, welcome back. Well, it's a tough story here. Mary here wants to be the Queen of England, but in a shocking twist, we just found out that her third husband, Bothwell, killed her second husband, Darnley, for her. I see, what I don't understand is why the two of you just didn't stay in Scotland after you got married. I mean, is Scottish food really that bad?
Jerome, the fact is that after we was accused of killing my second husband...
Which we did!
Well, you know how small-minded people can be.
Oh, do I ever? Renaissance my
Well, you know, they made me give up my throne, all right? And they made my son James King of Scotland. That little usurper twerp. So I hightailed it to England.
Obviously, then, this wasn't a case of searching for better food.
Oh. No, I came to England looking for refuge. You know, and you want to know what my cousin Lizzie did? Oh, she took care of me, all right. She kept me a prisoner for 19 years, okay? She kept me locked up in a cold, dark estate with just the bare necessities of food and shelter, a private secretary, a few dozen maidservants, and a very poorly stocked wine cellar. I lost the best years of my life, Jerome. 19 years. I could have been queen of 3 countries in that time.
Yeah, sure.
If I ever see that Elizabeth, I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind like she done never knew.
Well, I think you're going to get your wish because Queen Elizabeth's been backstage listening to everything. We're going to bring her out right now. Here she is, Her Highness.
You little plant that is aging and isn't as pretty as it once was. Why not take a leaf from Queen Elizabeth's book and cover it up with a bright orange wig?
Ah, Mr. Spark, you and your cold Yorkshire logic.
You the toothless that's who you are! You Catholic! You Protestant!
England in the 16th century was a nation divided between Protestants and Catholics. The previous Queen of England, Elizabeth's sister, had been a staunch Catholic. This pleased the Catholics and cheesed the Protestants. Then came Elizabeth, a Protestant, pleasing Protestants and upsetting Catholics. Mary, Queen of Scots, was a staunch Catholic, so, well, you can guess who was pleased and who was upset. It seems that when it came to queens, you can't please all of the Christians all of the time.
Someone else's name? If so, tell us your story. We want to know.
Okay, we're back with Mary and Elizabeth, 2 cantankerous aging queens. Now, Elizabeth, tell us why you're so upset with your cousin Mary. I mean, what has she done to you or to England?
Come on, Jerome, you heard her. Mary would do anything to get my crown. In fact, She'd probably do anyone to get my crown.
Okay, so, Liz, you're worried about whether or not you can trust Mary.
Well, Jerome, the fact is, there's a lot of Catholics in England right now who aren't too happy with a Protestant queen like me. But if I know Mary, she's been conspiring with them to get rid of me.
Oh, yeah. Now, that's just a vicious lie, right?
Oh, yeah? What about the Ridolfi plot? What about the Rising of the North? Any of that ring a bell? Any of that sound familiar to you?
Write a sonnet to the hand, girlfriend, all right?
Okay, I may not have any proof that you were involved, but I'm not an idiot either. I trust you about as far as I trust a man.
You know what, Drum? I am loyal to her. You know, I try to be a good cousin. I have been patient all these years.
Patiently waiting for me to die?
She accuses me of all these plots. I don't know what she's talking about. I never heard of that.
She's constantly plotting against me, Jerome.
You know what? She is a lying cow, and I swear that on my third husband's grave.
Hey!
Damn it, Drake. What are you gonna do about Mary, Queen of Scots? She tried to depose Queen Elizabeth.
There's no proof of that, Bones. All we know is that Scottish Catholics were trying to invade England. And the Scots are a savage warrior race, and they speak a strange guttural language. Now, they could have started this without Mary's help. Isn't that right, Scotty?
Aye, Captain.
Are you sure he's Protestant?
Fish vendors have been doing great business ever since Parliament prohibited meat on Fridays. The law was passed during King Edward's reign when meat was scarce in Britain and the commercial fishing industry was in trouble. The result? Fish on Fridays. Now, 40 years later, some suggest that this consumer regulation is unneeded and should be repealed. That could be difficult, however, because Roman Catholics have turned this law of commerce into a religious rite. How did a law designed to create employment for fishermen become a mortal sin?
I am not going to sit here and listen to this sob story from a woman who murdered her second husband.
You know what? You take that back.
Face it, honey. You are nothing but poor Scottish trash. Why don't you go back to the Highland farm you came from?
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, at least I ain't the virgin queen, huh? Yeah, that's right, that's right. This queen has seen action, baby, that's right. I don't appoint heirs, I make them. Oh, yeah, the old-fashioned way, that's right. Oh, yeah, baby. Huh, which queen do you like better, huh? You think she's got a pair as good as these? Huh? Look at that. You check that out. Take it in, yeah, huh?
Ankle whore! All right. Ankle whore! Okay. It's a royal flash. We'll be back.
I recommend getting your head cut off to any wire.
After having Mary imprisoned, Elizabeth hoped that she would keep quiet and behave so she wouldn't have to execute her. After all, killing rival royals was so medieval. There were rumors that Mary was hatching plots, but Elizabeth didn't want to rock the boat. However, Elizabeth's advisors didn't like the situation, so they set a trap, intercepting Mary's secret letters. Sure enough, they found proof that she was plotting against Elizabeth. It was no longer a question of rocking the boat. It was time to sink it.
Yeah, my question is for the Queen of England over there, not the one who wants to be the Queen, but the Queen of England on the right.
You mean good Queen Bess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you is so good, then how come you is still the Virgin Queen, yo?
You remember my father, Henry VIII, what he did to his wives? Let's just say I'm not the marrying kind.
Better luck next time. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Francis Walsingham. I'm Queen Elizabeth's Secretary of State. And my question is for that Queen of Tarts over there, the Scottish skank. Yes, well, I run a network of spies, and they've intercepted a few of your letters that you've been smuggling out in beer barrels, right? And we've basically got proof that you're involved in a plot to kill Elizabeth and become the new queen. So, what are your plans now?
I knew it! Guards! You lying, murderer!
Jerome, I got a split.
You are mine! You are mine! Off with her head! You, get the chopping block! Is there an executioner in the house? Pick me! All right,
have to have another execution? I mean, can't you just insult her or throw a chair at her or a throne or something?
Sorry, Jerome, she's crossed the line one too many times.
No.
You see why I keep oppressing Catholics? They make me do it! Here's a new fruit from the New World, brought back by explorers, called a tomato. It looks like an apple and tastes like a cucumber.
I know what you're thinking. Did he swing at my neck with 6 strokes or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being as this is a 44 decapitator, the most powerful hand axe in the world, and I slice your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, traitor? Go ahead. Make my execution.
You know, too often when you confront the people you love, you axe first and think later. When you cut to the chase, you may cut in haste. That's understandable, but sometimes there's another side of the story that you're missing. Instead of jumping to conclusions that could be unfounded, why not try establishing a network of spies so you can find out exactly what the other person's story is and whether they're planning to propose to you or depose you. So whether you're dealing with your lover or an ambitious and scheming rival claimant to the throne, keep an open mind, and whatever you do, take care of yourselves and each other. And try not to lose your head.
After Mary lost her head, Elizabeth nearly lost her mind. A good Christian, she was actually quite upset about having a fellow queen killed. After all, she'd lost her mother to the axe. But somehow, Elizabeth managed to get over the trauma and reigned peacefully for another 16 years. When Elizabeth died, she left behind no children, a virgin queen to the end. So the next in line for the British throne was James, son of, well, guess, go on. That's right. He was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. James got what his mother always craved but never achieved, the throne of England. James first was crowned king, but his mother, Mary, Queen of Scots, was history. And history, like an executioner's axe, bites.
Let's look back at the 4 humors we reviewed this week.
We only ever talk about the 4 humors, the 4 bodily fluids in the human body. Can't we review something else? A humorous play about the humors of a jealous husband who doesn't.
Our first humor this week was phlegm. People with too much phlegm are stupid and cowardly. I gave it thumbs down. But Richard thinks stupid and cowardly is okay. He gave phlegm big thumbs up.
What? I never said that. I gave it a thumbs down.
You want to make something of it, Flemmy?
No, sir.
Right.